they also just do an excellent job on talking to the bears. And I have to bring Macy. Macy, giving you a shout out. You, Caden, and Haley. And I got your name right, Macy. I confused them all fall. Anyway,
It only took you till they were gone to get it right.
you got that right. Shh, don't tell anybody that. Macy would usually sit down and spend maybe 5-10 minutes with each of the bears, but most of the time with Lucky. Everybody comes here and has a favorite bear, of course, and she would sing to Lucky, and Lucky would just sit there and listen to her. But throughout the summer interns too, they did interesting projects with the bears. Um, Two of them were kind of interesting to me because it's one that Dr. Rogers had wanted to do a study with a captive bear, and that was he formerly at his cabin placed a large mirror out in the viewing area. To Is it close enough now? Okay.
My mind.
Um, he placed a large mirror out in his yard, and the bears would come up. They'd look at themselves. Some would run, and some would just go about their business. We did that. I shouldn't say we. Our interns asked us if it was appropriate and if they could do this. Two of our interns, one recorded and one did the actual project, took the mirror out in front of, first of all, Holly. I may have the number, the last one was Lucky, but Holly. Holly was concerned that there was another bear following her. Tasha was a bit timid about it. Lucky was the most interesting and spent the most time staring at himself. She walked the mirror first up to him and he backed up. He got the long nose and kind of looked at it and backed off. And then he walked all the way around the tree, which is located in Den 5. Of course, all of the trees have dens. In Den 5. And, of course, the bear walked with him outside the fence, of course. Lucky was in his enclosure. And as he walked towards the fence, the bear walked towards him. And he immediately turned and walked away from the bear, but with his eye completely on the bear, but he never lost focus of where that bear was. And that was done with Lucky, with all the bears. One of the other projects that they did was Matoi and Kaylee. And Matoi recorded, of course, and Kaylee, being a musician, took her, I think she was a flautist or flute. She had her flute. And first she did a very, very high pitch, which Lucky did not like. He walked away and quickly. And then she did a low sound, and Lucky again walked away. Then she started playing music. Lucky stopped before he got to the back gate. He was in enclosure 1, den 1. He turned around and he came back and he laid down and he listened while she played the whole song. It was pretty interesting to note that they didn't like the sharp sound, they didn't like the low sounds, but when it was a mellow sound and continuous melodious sound, Lucky enjoyed it. We did not do it, at least I don't think they did it with the other two bears. I was not here for that. But this year for the enrichments, it completely stimulated the bears, and their mental aptitude was just a guarantee of having a healthy bear.
Right, and just, I mean, it's always nice to have those new perspectives too. That's one of the major benefits is me, you, and Brandon can sit down, think about enrichment together.
Right.
But when it's just the same three people year after year, things come a little redundant. We have some of the same ideas. There's not a lot of new views in there. So every year we get 6 summer bear interns and 3 in the fall. That's 9 different viewpoints that they have varying backgrounds and varying experiences. A lot of them have some kind of captive animal experience.
Right.
And I think we've adapted different enrichments that were specific for other species for our bears because of some of those interns' experiences and what they've done at other facilities. So the mirror thing, I know we have the display, like you were talking about, where
Right.
Dr. Rogers tested it. But at least when I've been here, we never presented mirrors to the bears. That was a really fun one to do. I was there for a couple of them, and yeah, seeing their reaction to it. Some acting like it was a total stranger bear approaching the fence when it was just their own reflection, and seeing some of that blustery behavior as they thought an intruder was approaching,
Right.
like Holly. Whereas Lucky was, like Sharon explained, kind of standoffish at first, but then real interested. And then Tasha was like, "Yeah, I don't care which bear that is. I don't want to go over there."
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
they all kind of had their unique reactions to it, and it also kind of exemplifies their individual personalities, which is one
Correct.
thing that I think all the interns, I think we hear it a lot, is this one thing they're surprised about is how different they are from one bear to the next. We don't tend to think as animals, besides our pets, really having actual full personalities that are that different from one another, but our bears are very much different. So
Yeah, it's it's interesting. It's interesting with Lucky how he when Holly is around, how dependent he is. And when we presented this year of letting the bears out together, how Tasha one stood up to him, but then he went. And it seems like to me, at least, he went and got Holly, and she came over to take care of Tasha and make sure she knew who still was boss. But is he talking to me?
no, he's talking to me.
Oh, we have some interference from the audience here. Oh, we're trying to fix the microphone. But yeah, the difference once they learn the interns learn the different personalities. It educates them too as to what that particular bear will allow, and such as when we're talking about what bears don't mind their pictures taken. Um, Dr. Rogers himself can attest. We told him, please don't put the camera up near the fence because Holly doesn't like it and she's probably going to smack it. Well, he's going to
Push
probably
the envelope.
be upset with me, but he got a black eye out of that one.
Yeah, so that's what happens when a bear hits your camera lens while you're
Yes.
trying to take a picture. It gets stuffed right into the eye where you're looking through the camera, and you may be left with a shiner, so to say.
Yeah. So and Dr. Rogers did come in and he told Scott. He said Sharon did tell me. So
He
and
was warned.
Tasha's another one that really, if you get too close with the camera, she really doesn't like it. Lucky don't care.
Yeah, I know. If some of you were tuning into our segment with Morrow earlier, our IT professional, tech guy, he's installed a lot of the cams over the years
Oh
with the
yes.
Bears, the live cams, the various special events cam, all of it. And he was kind of talking about some of the issues he has with setting up and how some of the Bears are very, they find his work to be rather intrusive because it's in their
Yes.
habitat. And, you can't really explain that to the Bears. But me and Morrow had one where we had the cam not working. It was just showing a black picture. So Morrow came in. This was midwinter when Holly and Lucky were hibernating together in the bunkers. And Morrow came in, and we had, a few feet of snow back there. So it was a hike to get back out there. Morrow had his hands full of equipment. I was helping him carry equipment out there. We checked all the systems from the inside. He said, that's weird. From everything we can see inside, it's all on and working. Oh, that is weird. He's like, we're going to have to go out there. So we go out there. It's January or so. And we get out there. Holly and Lucky were in the bunker so we could safely enter the main habitat. We did to check out the camera that was mounted to the bunker den. And we looked at it, and it was working fine. So we pulled it up on our phone, and we could see the live footage, and it was showing fine. All right, well, it's working. And so Morrow's like, I don't know what the deal was. So we make it all the way back into the building, see the live cam again, and it's black again. And we were like, what is going on? We got back out there. This time we were a little quieter because we already had a trail stamped through the snow. And so I think we caught Holly off guard, but she was eating the camera. So the black screen we were seeing was the back of her throat with no light in it, so it just appeared to be completely black. And when we would show up, she would quickly go hide, like, I'm not doing anything wrong. And then
Are you talking about my little girl? My little girl?
You're a little troublemaker. Yeah, so that's what was going on. So we made some modifications, and it's a learning curve. So again, I don't think Morrow ever would have guessed he was making stuff bear-proof when he started his career in IT. But That's what he has to do when he gets here, so he has to be pretty creative. But Holly specifically has been known to hate cameras. Tasha isn't fond of them. Lucky seems to care less.
He could care less.
He's indifferent about it. But I know of at least one circumstance, well, several, where a guest cell phone somehow finds its way into the main bear habitat. I know Holly for a fact has crushed at least one, and we're suspicious that she has learned that that's a camera and that's why she does it. But she has been known to crush a cell phone, and we always tell the guests, we warn them, make sure you have a good grip on those cell phones when you're in the observation deck, because if the item enters the bear habitat, it is now the bears, and they will do with it whatever they so choose, and we can't really stop them from doing that most of the time. So she has been known to crush a cell phone here and there, and I don't know that Tasha's ever done that or Lucky hasn't, but if Holly finds it, she will let you know she disapproves.
Yeah. One of the other things, and I'm not picking totally on Holly, but I guess I am, because she teaches. Lucky too. Lucky has had his version of teaching us. Lucky's a problem solver though, and you can see him problem solving something before he does it. So that's pretty quick to learn about Lucky. But Holly, when Morrow was putting in the cams for the dens, the new dens, he was so pleased with himself, and he said, "Sharon, how do you like this camera?" I said, "Oh, I like it. Holly will like it better." "Oh, she can't climb up this fence." I said, "Yes, she can." And so that's what took a little longer to get the cameras, because he had to situate them where Holly couldn't get to it. So we apologize for the wait for those cameras last year, but that's why.
Yeah,
because
we went through a good amount of cameras before we arrived at the system that we had. A lot of trial and error, Bears trial and error, right? And then we finally figured out a good system and good cameras, and now we're firing on all cylinders. They can't really get, I should knock on some wood when I say this, they can't really get to the cameras right now, which is good, and that's hopefully how it'll stay. Obviously, it would be better if we could shove cameras right in their dens, but again, they're expensive cameras. We want you to have a live view just about all the time, and so if we were to make them within reach of the bears, obviously we're going to be going through cameras left and right with how much certain bears don't like those cameras.
One of the fun things that I've told you a couple of things that Holly is a stinker about, but one of the fun things Holly does, and she knows she's doing it, and then as soon as you point at her, she'll get down, but she will immediately, and you can see the look on her face that she's doing it just to see what's going to happen, as she will jump out the fence, start climbing it, and wait. She gets about 2 feet off the ground, and then she waits to see what you're going to say. And as soon as you say, "Holly, no," then she'll get back down. But it's interesting to see that she's going to wait to see what's going to happen before she'll do anything. So this segment is supposed to be about the bears. So
let's do a bear update.
Oh, we'll do it.
The status of them here, but I'm going to do a quick give to the max update. So we have a little bit of a number change. We're moving that needle, so we're now at 52% of our $50,000 goal. So we can slide.
Great job, guys!
And we got a new number to put up here. Our new number is now sitting at $26,094. All right, so we're still climbing a little bit.
Yeah.
I know during the late afternoon hours it gets a little slow, but if you're tuning in and watching, again, go to Give to the Max and check us out at the North American Bear Center on our Give to the Max page and donate. And I'm going to get this updated here. Sharon, why don't you start talking about, I know not all the bears have finished yet, but we do know some bears are hibernating and where they're hibernating. Let's update the folks on that, because I know people are patiently waiting to hear about where and who's where specifically and what dens they're using. So go ahead.
Okay. Just real before I start this, I want you guys to know that I'm counting on you to bring that up, because we're waiting here and working hard for our bears, and the interns are a vital part of that program. So about July 15th of this past summer, Holly disappeared for a day, and then she'd come out. She'd come back in, and next day she'd disappear again. July 17th, we took a walk back and noticed that she was spending a lot of time near a large boulder, which is probably about 30 feet north of where the last dug den was, and she had did a significant job, very good job of digging a den. I did post that on Facebook. The pictures of her den are located somewhere on our Facebook page, and she actually disappeared about the 22nd of September, and we thought, boy, this is pretty early, but she has gone in as early as the 17th. So about a week later, though, she came out, did a little um, upset for Spencer. She was acting very erratic. I've seen it before, and I thought that's what she was doing, but there seems to be some erratic behavior just before they go into den for the season. And to me, that's what was happening. I was actually shopping in Virginia and came all the way back to see what was going on, but she had already disappeared, and then we didn't see her after that. So she has been denning since around the 29th of September. And I can't tell you the weight right off my top of my head. It was in the 300 range.
Yeah, so Holly, for those of you who maybe aren't necessarily familiar with our bear habitat, it's actually behind this wall. Can't see it, obviously, but this wall runs the length of the building, and just on the other side, there is some big viewing windows, our viewing area. That's the down front area or the pond area. And when you are seeing the pond cam or the PTZ cam online, you're seeing the front, the back of this building, but the front of the bear habitat. Holly dug her den basically all the way at the back of the fence. She's what, maybe 20 feet, not even from the fence line,
Right,
maybe like
right.
10 actually. And so she's like straight back. So if you're looking from the PTZ cam, it's to the right of the big white pine or the cub tree, and it's just about as far back as you can be before that hill really peaks out.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere about halfway up the
Yeah.
hill. They are known for making those, or at
Right.
least in this area, digging on a gradient. So there's generally more soil, so we don't have a ton of soil in this area.
Right.
So she's dug a den before, so this
Yeah.
isn't her first time. She is able to do that. So she's the only bear that's used a bear-made den. The other two decided to use ones that us humans have made. I'll let Sharon talk a little bit more about that.
So we like to let them make their own decisions, of course, here. And Tasha denned in 3 last year. Lucky was kind of insistent that he have that this year, and so Tasha took number 1. And 2, I don't understand it. 2 is an excellent den.
Yeah.
I love that den.
They've even taken turns digging that one out to make it even better.
But Lucky prepared that last year and then moved in with Holly. Again, he's a little bit reliant on Holly, and I think just the move from the bunkers into a new area, maybe he lacked a little bit of confidence to den by himself, and she said it was okay, so he moved in with her.
Right, so maybe explain to some of these folks, who is that decision ultimately up to, whether or not Holly and Lucky hibernate together or hibernate separately?
Well, that decision would be Holly's.
Exactly. So, for those of you who don't know, that's unusual. We don't see that in the wild, adult bears hibernating together. You see a female with her offspring do that, usually consecutive years, because they'll be born that first year and then go back in the den with her the second year. However, 2 fully adult and mature bears hibernating together is rather rare, extremely rare. And it has happened, though, multiple times here. So we assume it has something to do with the fact that these are ambassador bears or captive bears. They don't act 100% natural all the time. They don't act 100%, captive all the time either. They're somewhere in between. But what we have noticed is sometimes Lucky will make a den, and Holly decides, wow, this is a really nice den. Yeah, I like this.
Thank you.
Lucky, get out. But sometimes, because he will get kicked out. Other times, though, he will be allowed to stay. So it does ultimately boil down to Holly's decision on the matter. She can choose to let Lucky stay, or she can choose to give him the boot. This year, I think this past year, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sharon, but this might have been the first time we saw Holly prep the den and then allow Lucky to come in. Is that how it went down last year?
Last year, yeah. She did prepare it.
Right.
So, no, take that back.
Tasha prepared
the den. Holly kicked her out, and
then allowed
Lucky to move in.
Yeah. So that's the first set of sequences like that we've seen usually. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Holly prepares the den, or maybe even steals it, and then, Lucky does, and then Holly just says, "Oh, nice, I'm coming in too," and then either allows him to stay or kicks him out. This past year, it was kind of reverse. He just kind of must have appealed to her better nature, but she let him on in.
I think she's mellowed.
Yeah, she's calming down a little bit.
Yeah.
I know she wouldn't let me spend the winter in there with her, so Lucky must have a little better appeal than I would have. But
Yeah.
they were in that was in pen or den 1 this past year.
Yeah.
So we have Holly with her own den in the main habitat. She's in the main bear habitat. Tasha is in bear pen 1. So if you're looking at the cameras, it says that right on the camera, bear pen 1, and then we have or bear den 1. And then we also have Lucky, who's in bear den 3. So that
Right.
means the other, we have 8 total that we've made
Right.
for the bears. So only 2 of the ones we've made are being used. So there is another 6 that are vacant right now. So you're not going to see a lot of action on cameras for den 2, 4, and 5 because there's no bears
Right.
in those ones.
But we did kind of well, I shouldn't say we did kind of, we did prepare the rock den just in case
Right.
Holly were to change her mind and decide to kick Tosh out. So, I mean, that's how it goes,
Yeah.
and that's probably what would happen.
Right.
But
Holly dug her own den from scratch, and in fact, this was last year as well, I think. She made a whole den and then decided, well, I really like that den that Tasha made better,
Yeah.
or just wants to make Tasha angry. We don't know what her motivation is, but she's gone through the whole season, made a den from scratch, and then decided, I'm going to take the one that Tasha got ready.
Yeah.
So Tasha must make and keep a really nice, tidy space. That's just my guess.
Yeah, I think it's a vice versa.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Tasha likes a lot of bedding.
Yeah.
Holly does not.
So
But,
how about this, Sharon? Are all the bears hibernating yet?
Well, thank you for correcting this because I live in Michigan now, and I came back for the Give to Max, of course. But I only know what I see, and I see if I see the bears that is in and don't hear from anybody. So we did miscalculate this year and say she was in on the 2nd. Well, since then she's been out many times.
And Sharon, I'm
gonna
correct you again. It's not your fault specifically. Okay.
Well, that's everybody.
It comes down to we just didn't have everything together that we should have for monitoring that. It is not Sharon's fault. That falls on the director, the assistant director, and management as a whole. We should have had a little bit better plan for that. But basically, what happened is we run a contest for those of you that know at what the date and the weight the bears will be in hibernation, and to verify or make the contest legit. We say that a bear is hibernating once we haven't seen any activity outside of the den for 7 days straight.
7 days.
And Tasha had been in for some time, and Sharon was checking every so often from Michigan, from the live cams, and she had not noted Tasha being out. She was out, just not when Sharon was looking at the camera.
Right.
We were also had staff here that would look and check on her, and every time we did not see Tasha out. So from what we had seen, we hadn't seen her in 7 days. However, we have a lot of folks, and a lot of you are tuning in right now, volunteers that run those cams for us. They're a huge, important part of the Bear Center and how we run our programs.
Absolutely.
And they had seen Tasha out, and we didn't bother to inquire with them or tell them to let us know or anything like that. So again, big miscommunication on the management side of things. And so then Sharon said, well, I haven't seen her, so she was the last bear to go down. She's done. And we announced the winners, and they said, hey, wait a minute, she was out yesterday.
Yeah,
we
that's
were
right.
Like, no, she wasn't. They're like, yes, she was. And then actually she was out like once a day for the past few days, basically. And so she comes out there was a few times where it was actually quite an extensive period in terms of length, but at the minimum, 5-10 minutes, grab some bedding or just hang out. In fact, I believe she was out yesterday or the day before. Yeah. So every time they get out, it starts that 7-day clock over. Right. So technically, Tasha's not hibernating yet. So she's still up and about and active to a degree.
And being from Kentucky and Spencer can elaborate a little bit more on this with genetics and the area, but she really is. The weather hasn't been that bad, or the snow, so she is going out and still eating grasses and clover, even though they're probably not really tasty right now. But she is eating them, and if she were in Kentucky, she would still be doing so.
Right, and so that's a big part of why she's typically our last bear to go down and our last bear to get up for the year. Oh, sorry, the last bear to go down, first bear to get up. Right. That's because her genetics are from a southern range, Kentucky specifically, and the bears in Kentucky are very specifically matched to those seasonal changes. So she assumes, like other Kentucky bears would, that spring comes in March. Well, she lives in Minnesota now, and spring does not come in March. So she typically gets up anyways because her body, her internal clock, or her circadian rhythm tells her it's time to get up. And so she gets up, and she's rather confused why we have so much snow and there's
there's
no
no
green
food.
stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, what is going on? But again, that's her internal clock, and those genetics that she has from her ancestors that have lived in Kentucky for long periods of time and passed down those genetics to make them very in tune to those seasonal changes. She can't fight that, and so you would think Tasha's 9 years old now,
9.
soon to be 10 actually,
Right.
but she's currently 9. She arrived at about a year and a half,
Correct.
and so that means she's been with us if she's 9 now for about 7.5 years.
Correct.
You would assume she would do a little bit of adjusting over time,
Maybe.
but she doesn't really. She usually we can count on her to be our last bear up and active for the year, because that's why again she goes down later, because presumably again in Kentucky their fall would be starting now or roughly this time, or their seasonal change from summer to fall again happens a lot later into the
Correct.
year than it does here. But again, she stays up because she thinks it's not time yet, and so she continues to get bedding. She continues to try to eat food because she thinks she's supposed to, and so her genetics are so strongly tied to that seasonality that she can't help but fight it. Holly doesn't have the issue because
Right.
we mixed around the bears where Holly's from. Holly's from Arkansas, and she's actually from technically further south than Tasha is, but there's Minnesota genes, Wisconsin, Maine, and Manitoba genes of bears all down there because in the 50s or 60s, humans intervened. They didn't have a lot of wild bears down there, so we sent a bunch from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maine, and Manitoba in trade for turkeys, so they did a big swap of wild animals. Now the gene pool from the Arkansas bears that were existing, plus the influx of new genes, made them quite genetically variable. That means that those bears, they have an easier time adjusting to different climates if they're moved, or at least that's the assumption. So Holly made an adjustment in the very first year she was here.
Did a very good job too, and still is doing that.
Because
which is good for us.
Her first winter here, she dug her own den.
Or her first winter here, she went in the bunker.
Right.
Her second season,
she dug her own
den.
Yep. And so she caught on pretty quick. Whereas Tasha, again, not that she can't dig her own den, but we don't have any suspicion that she will ever adjust to the more norm, because Lucky and Holly are actually pretty close to what we experience for wild bears, within reason. I mean, they get up a little bit earlier and go down a little bit later than, well, maybe not this year, actually. Holly was right on par with our wild bears in this area, especially for females. But they get up usually a little bit before green up because they know where their food comes from. Sharon and the rest of us here, the food shed and everything. So they're very aware of that. And so it's a little different for them. But they're definitely pretty close to our wild population.
Correct.
So we don't expect Tasha to ever get to that point.
So anyway, that's about the biggest update that we have for our current bears. And we don't know when Tasha's going to call it quits. Yeah. She may today. Who knows?
So that contest is still technically running,
it's
although
still
you can't
technically
still guess,
running.
Because that would be unfair, because obviously people would still be submitting guesses. So that's why we put a cutoff date on the weights and date contest, so you can't just wait around till this point and be like, oh, Tasha's still up, so it makes no sense to guess any date until past then. So there are a few people still left in the running. We were looking at the guesses. There were a few guesses that were after today's date. Now, since she was up in the past 2 days, the earliest we would consider her to be in hibernation would still be a few days from now. But again, if she decides to not show up for the next 7 days, if someone guessed that day a couple days ago, that day is their guess, or the closest person will win. And we did go ahead and send out that other winner a prize because we didn't want to have any ruffled feathers or hurt feelings, because, again, that was a mistake on our end. So we went ahead and sent out that prize. But we will still be announcing another winner for that. So leave a little excitement in that contest yet. Tasha's making us still wait up to announce the final winner.
She might not go down until Christmas.
Right, we'll see. We'll see. Back when we had Ted, he would stay up pretty late, but his was a little different, right?
Yeah, he was different.
These bears will start to kind of eat less and less food, maybe besides Tasha. But Ted, we have to give him less and less food to let him know, hey, Ted, it's time to go to bed for the year, He was a lot different, and so he would stay up probably as late as we would have fed him, I would guess. Yeah. In fact, when we went out there, Ted was, in the winter, Ted would wake up and see us. He would seemingly get excited, whereas the other bears were kind of like, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Yeah,
Ted would be like, people. Oh, yay. He'd get all excited. So he was very different in that regard. I don't think he liked or enjoyed hibernation in the same way the other bears did. They got some peaceful rest and didn't have to be bothered. Ted was like, no, I'd prefer the people. I prefer being bothered. So he was a little different in that regard. So Tasha's a little more similar to Ted and then her habits when it comes to the winter dormancy. Let's do another update here. So Sharon and I have been
Okay.
able to move this needle a little bit. We got another about $50 to add
All
on there,
right.
just shy of. So I'm going to make that adjustment. We're going to be signing off here in just a second, but we're going to wrap up with a few things. Sharon, let's remind them real quick while I adjust the board here what we're raising money for and why it's important.
Well, we are doing. We don't have a proper name, but right now we're calling it the Intern Complex, which is just across. Um, we're on this side of 169. The complex is on the other side, directly across. You'll see on when we start showing the pictures again, the driveways are almost right across from each other. The importance for that is the fact that we will no longer have to worry about where we're going to house our interns. During the summer, we've been able to put them at the college, but if the college starts doing summer programs, we're going to lose those rooms, and then we will not have anything, which really will inhibit us from getting as many interns as we need. The best that we have right now is 8. We have our 2 ecology interns who take care of the critters in here, and then what we refer to as bin turns because they work with bears, are working outside with the bears, educating the public about the bears. Our inside, our ecology interns do the same, but they do it with the snake, turtle, frogs, salamanders, and any of the other little critters that might happen to come into this place. So the importance of having that facility just across the road just is
Ensures the longevity and the lasting
it
growth of the
right,
internship program because that's really our only issue
right.
with growing it is space and housing. And we could potentially then have year-round interns too
We could, and
because we have housing.
that would take for right now the care of well anything that goes on outside would fall on Spencer and Scott, and because if you were listening earlier, Brandon had a car accident, so he's not able to be with us today. He's in the hospital, but his initially he cares for the little critters back here, and so that falls now on Spencer too. So it would be really nice, and we could actually create winter programs. Then.
Right.
We could initially use our trail for winter programs, and if we had some help to do it with. So having year-round interns is a very big goal.
Yeah.
But having this facility is what we need the groundbreaking for. We need to have that first.
Right, or second term intern. So maybe other facilities do this, but we haven't tried it yet. But maybe even bringing back another intern for a second year, and so they would act kind of as an intermediate between the main management staff and the other interns, like a lead intern, so
Right.
to say. And so they already have the knowledge, they know the care, and so they would be helping and run other interns, even though being an intern themselves. And then instead of a 3-month internship, it could be a 6-month internship. Right now, getting an intern in a housing unit for 3 months is tough for us. So 6 months, even more difficult. But if we
Right.
had it right across the street, ready to go, I mean, that would obviously be super feasible for us. And the rest of it, we pretty much have it taken care of. It's really that housing that's the
Yep.
biggest piece. So, I mean, and like I know this has been a theme today, but I'm gonna go and reiterate it. You know, we've in the past raised stuff goals in terms of give to the max specifically for the Bears. It might be easy to see this one as not for the Bears, but
But it is.
if you add up all the hours spent caring for the Bears, so we add ours together
Yep.
for how much of my day is spent with the Bears, how much of your days is spent with the Bears,
Yep.
and directly caring for them, or making plans for the interns that
Right.
involve care. You add Brandon's to it. Even when Natasha was here, you add hers to it. Then we add up separately all the interns' hours. I bet they double us at least. They
Yep.
do. I mean, it comes from Sharon's instruction, but they do the vast majority of the physical work with the Bears, and they're their
They do.
primary care staff. Obviously, again, with direction from Sharon, she comes up with the meal plans, their care protocols and procedures. But carrying it out, again, a lot of it is Sharon directing traffic and having the interns do it. So, believe it or not, making it so that again we have interns forever, which is a big part, is getting that housing,
Yes.
is really helping out the Bears care. So we're really excited about this. We hope you folks are too. We're going to do a quick update before Sharon and I sign off. So I just bent down to change it, so I'm going to double check because as I wrote the new number, someone donated. Woo! And so I had to change it again. But we're currently waiting for a refresh here. Yep, we're currently sitting at 26,000. $169. That is
All right. Well, thank
amazing,
you,
folks.
folks.
We're well
Thank
over
you.
our 50% goal. 50% of our goal of $50,000. So we're going to keep on moving. We got more special guests coming up. We got more fun coming up. We have another power hour coming up. There's always another chance for a golden ticket. So
And we're
lots
hoping.
going on.
Yeah. Well, thank you, folks.
Thank you, folks. Also, Facebook Live coming up in the next couple hours as well. So stay tuned. Enjoy. Thanks for supporting us, and go donate.
Please donate. Thank you.